Imagine stepping outside for just a minute and realizing the air can injure you faster than fire. In one of the coldest inhabited places on Earth, the rules of life change the moment a door opens. Eyelashes turn white, skin stings like it's being sanded, and your breath doesn't float away, it crackles, as if it's turning into tiny shards of ice. Here, staying still isn't relaxing. It's risky, and every small decision, how long you stand outside, how you cover your face, even how you blink, can decide whether you walk back inside with all your fingers and toes. This place is Oymyakon, a remote village in Siberia where winter isn't a season, it's a system. The cold isn't just uncomfortable. It shuts down technology, changes how people build homes, decides what they eat, and even determines how they use the bathroom. Around 800 people live here, not because it's easy, but because their entire way of life has evolved around one brutal fact. The environment always wins, unless you respect it. The first surprise is how fast the cold becomes physical. Within seconds outside, moisture on your skin starts to freeze. Within minutes, exposed areas begin to burn, and then the burn fades into numbness, which is the real danger. When tissue gets too cold, blood vessels tighten, circulation drops, and the water inside cells begins to freeze into ice crystals. Those crystals can damage cells from the inside. That's why frostbite can start with something as small as a pale spot on a nose or fingertip. People often think the worst part is the pain, but the scariest part is when the pain disappears and you stop realizing you're being injured. And here's a weird sound detail that locals recognize instantly. On the coldest days, breathing outside can sound like dry grass rustling behind you. That's warm breath turning into ice crystals as it hits the air. It's one of those things that feels unbelievable until you hear it. And then you understand you're in a place where the atmosphere itself behaves differently. Oymyakon can feel abandoned because almost no one lingers outdoors. You're not going to see people casually chatting on the street. Every trip outside is short, purposeful, and planned. Even filming becomes a challenge because phones and cameras can shut down. Batteries drain fast, and simple things like a lens can frost over and become useless. The cold doesn't just attack skin, it attacks everything. So how do people live here? The second big surprise is that a house in Oymyakon isn't just a house. It's a survival device. Many homes rely on a central heating system that has to run nonstop. If it stops, the problem isn't the house gets chilly. It's that life quickly becomes unsafe. Warmth is infrastructure, not comfort. Inside these homes, you'll often find a cold entry room that isn't heated on purpose. Think of it like an airlock. It blocks the outside cold from rushing straight into the living space. And it doubles as a natural freezer. Food can be stored there because the temperature does the work for free. Milk can freeze solid. Meat can stay preserved. It's a refrigerator made by the climate. The insulation is intense too. Walls are layered with materials designed to trap warmth. Windows are often triple glazed because the glass barrier can be the difference between a stable indoor temperature and heat leaking out into the night. Even the way buildings sit on the ground matters because the soil stays frozen year-round. That permanent frozen layer is called permafrost, and it can extend incredibly deep. You can't treat the ground like normal earth when it's basically rock-hard ice. Now let's talk about water, because that's where life in Oymyakon gets truly mind-blowing. In many places, you turn a tap and forget about it. Here, standard plumbing is a nightmare because pipes can freeze. So water becomes a task. People store it. They haul it. And in some cases, they collect blocks of river ice and melt them to get clean water for drinking and washing. Imagine your weekly routine starting not with take a shower, but with chop wood, light the stove, melt ice, and plan the entire process. Bathing can take hours because heat must be created first, and everything must be done efficiently. And because water systems are limited, Even basic things like toilets can be outside in unheated cabins. That means using the bathroom isn't just uncomfortable, it's a mini expedition. You put on layers, go quickly, and get back inside before the cold starts biting at exposed skin. It's one of those realities that makes you realize how much of modern life depends on temperature, staying within a friendly range. Food is another huge curiosity. Since the ground is frozen and the growing season is extremely limited, fresh fruits and vegetables aren't a normal part of everyday life. So people rely heavily on animal products. Meat and fat aren't just preference. They're survival fuel. Your body burns more energy just to maintain heat, so calorie-dense food matters. Animals here are adapted in ways that feel almost unreal. Local horses, for example, can stay outdoors in temperatures that would be life-threatening for most animals. They're built for a thick fur, compact bodies, and layers of fat that help conserve warmth. Cattle routines are also shaped by the cold. Even milking and barn work become carefully timed, because the moment you step outside, the environment starts trying to freeze you. And then there's the wilderness, where the cold becomes more than a background threat, it becomes an active force. Hunting and fishing can be major sources of food and income. But nature out there is unforgiving. The river ice can crack. One wrong step could mean falling into water. And in this climate, getting wet can turn deadly fast. Even equipment struggles. Water splashing onto a camera lens can freeze almost instantly, turning it into a useless block. Fishing in extreme cold has one of the strangest effects. A fish that comes out of the water can freeze within seconds in the open air. That's how powerful the temperature is. The cold can turn living movement into a rigid object almost immediately. And that leads to one of the harshest lessons in Oymyakon. If something can't move, it can die quickly. In a place like this, immobility is not neutral. It's dangerous. Now, here's a curiosity people don't think about until they see it. Cars. In Oymyakon, a car left outside for just a few hours can freeze so badly it won't start again without being warmed up. Fuel can thicken. Oil can become sluggish. Batteries lose power. Tires can feel rock hard. Locals sometimes use heating devices to warm vehicles for hours before even attempting to start the engine. Heated garages are gold because keeping a vehicle warm can mean the difference between mobility and being stranded. And after seeing all of this, the biggest takeaway isn't wow, it's cold. It's that the entire village runs on strategy. People don't fight the environment like they can conquer it. They respect it, adapt to it, and build their lives around its rules. Every routine is designed to reduce exposure time, protect vulnerable skin, conserve heat, and avoid mistakes that would be minor elsewhere, but serious here. So the next time you complain about a chilly morning, remember there are places where stepping outside isn't a casual moment. It's a calculated risk. Oymyakon isn't just a dot on a map. It's a living example of how far humans can adapt when nature sets the terms. And the most fascinating part is this. For the people who live there, this isn't a documentary. It's just Tuesday.